2 o'clock Commissioners' Consent Agenda meeting. Let the record reflect that all 5 commissioners are present, and we did not receive any written comment for items that are on today's agenda. We will go ahead and stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, that will take us to our open public forum, and I have 2 people that have signed up for open public forum. We will start with Tom Deneen. So Tom, if you'd like to step up to the microphone, you'll have 3 minutes. And we did receive your printout as well.
Thank you very much. Hello, thank you for allowing me to address you today. My name is Tom Deneen. I'm here representing the Spokane Film Project, a nonprofit that is dedicated to the development of the digital media industry of the Spokane region through education, networking, and advocacy. We ask that the Mayor's Office, City Council, and County Commissioners meet with Visit Spokane to discuss the possibility of creating the Spokane Regional Film Office and explore ways of funding it. Our community can become a thriving television and commercial production hub. With your leadership and support, we can ensure that our region reaps this growing industry's economic and cultural benefits. If you look across the country, there are many examples of how this digital media industry has positively impacted many states. Here in the state of Washington, our state film office has been able to document and show that every dollar invested in our film incentive program has returned a $10 economic impact to local communities. I must mention that the Spokane region has a strong production history with 45 feature films, 3 television series, several national advertising campaigns, an award-winning music video, dozens of unscripted and reality TV shows, and numerous regional and local commercials. That history is full of highs and lows, of engagement with out-of-state productions and producers, because no one is out there whose primary focus is promoting our region as a filming location. Washington Filmworks' job is to promote the state. The Seattle Film Office and King County's Creative Economy Director are out there promoting their region. All of Spokane's and Greater Eastern Washington's productions come from the hard work of local producers and word of mouth. With the collaboration of another local organization, we recently instigated a grassroots email campaign about creating a regional film office that I'm sure you have seen in your inboxes. Today, I present you with a petition with 215 signatures, like the email campaign, a simple request. If you have questions, please refer to the deck that my colleague and friend Juan Moss sent to you all this morning. Please reply with any questions that you have so we can answer them thoughtfully and thoroughly. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Next, I have Julia McHugh, or is it McHugh? I want to make sure I say it correctly.
It's Julia McHugh.
McHugh. Thank you.
Irish. So before I start, I'd like to draw your attention to something I've left with you. This is the West Plains at the top, and the west side of the West Plains, Fairchild's PFAS contamination, based on 2024, at least the West Plains June 2024 sampling by EPA and Department of Ecology. It was a collaboration, very rare, in fact. So I am Julia McHugh. I live in the Palisades neighborhood, and this is my greeting to you for the 12th time on this very topic. Next week, you are set to approve renewal of a third 20-year aquifer protection area ballot issue. If it passes, it will continue to protect the sole source of drinking water for thousands of residents who rely upon that groundwater, 40 years plus another 20 years of protecting an irreplaceable resource. The West Plains aquifer system, equally irreplaceable, is excluded from this ballot effort and the protections it will provide if passed. 2 source aquifers, 1 being protected. There are more than 4,000 residences reliant on the West Plains aquifer, and this body is ignoring the fact that more than 57% of the domestic wells down gradient from the Spokane International Airport are contaminated with PFAS. That's the firefighting foam. The airport is a co-owned city-county asset and a source of PFAS. See your map. This body, along with Spokane Regional Health District, the City Council, are willfully ignoring our many pleas and protestations and disregarding the many services and impacts the West Plains supports. Millions of air travelers, military preparedness, garbage hauling and incineration, landfills, both open and closed, prisons, casinos, gravel pits, former missile sites, and more. This region does not function without the West Plains. Protecting the airport asset is a conclusion to be drawn from the county's unwillingness to address the West Plains PFAS, along with at least 2 additional conflicts of interest: Mr. French's long-term airport board membership and Commissioner Cuney's husband, Max Cuney, a long-term member of the airport board and an established general contractor, and a consistent maximum contributor to Mr. French's political campaigns. It is the airport and the source of our PFAS contamination in our wells that is the source of this refusal to act. Non-action is protecting the airport from liability at constituents' expense. Our health, safety, and welfare are under threat, and this body refuses to act. Please see my April 1st email to you of the many, many empty promises we've received from our commission representative. We are now in year 8 of the airport PFAS discovery. There is currently no short or long-term West Plains aquifer protection action proposed by any governing body within Spokane County. The city and county are, without explanation, proceeding with an APA ballot issue that excludes the West Plains aquifer system. We ask this body to step up to the public service you have pledged to provide. Include the West Plains on the aquifer protection ballot. And while you look in the mirror tonight, ask yourself, why not the West Plains? Why not consult with Airway Heights, Medical Lake, Cheney, Four Lakes, the 13 county recognized neighborhoods? And let's work together on this. We're here to work with you.
Thank you.
very much.
So we still have time for additional open public forum. Is there anyone else who would like to speak at the open public forum? See someone coming down.
Hi, my name is Mary Ann Murphy. I live in Peaceful Valley, and I hadn't planned to speak today, but I did want to second the motion from the person who spoke to you about the advantages of investing in film and film production in Spokane. My husband was Robert Glatzer. He came here by the Smithsonian sent him to direct the Folk Life Festival at Expo 74 because he had made many films for the Smithsonian. And while he was here, he founded Movies 101 and the International Film Festival. And the economic case for supporting film production doesn't have any downside, really. It's just good for the community, and we just watched Vision Quest again at this last film festival. So it's really a moment, it's something we can all agree on that it will be good for the community. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to testify? Anyone else in the audience or anyone online? Seeing no one, I will then, this is my third and final call. Seeing no one online and no one in the audience, I will close the open public testimony. Before I look to my fellow commissioners, we are striking item number 5N from today's agenda, so we will strike that. And then I will look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve items 3A and B, 4A and B, and items 5A through O, excluding item 5N.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously. That will then take us to item number 6A, which is continued from Tuesday, April 1st, 2025 at our 2 o'clock meeting. It was a public hearing and for decision only has been continued for today to consider the vacation of Beacon Avenue and a portion of Yale Street, County Engineers Road File number 2316 for the Spokane County Public Works Department. I see Matt Zarakor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Matt Zarakor, Spokane County Public Works. I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank the board for allowing us to go back and clean up our resolution and our exhibit. You'll see the exhibit on the overhead now correctly reflects the portion of the right-of-way that we're recommending vacating. The resolution does address both right-of-ways, but only recommends vacating the Beacon portion. And I'm available and happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Matt, if I could just ask, if you state the motion, just to make sure that we are doing this appropriately, because the item on our agenda does reference a portion of Yale Street. So if I could just get either you or legal counsel to state the motion, how you would like it made, and then I would make that motion. You don't have to do it right now if there's other questions, but when the time comes, I just want to make sure we're doing it by the book and doing what it is we want to accomplish.
Correct.
Yeah, and I will just state for the record that, yes, it was confusing on the wording, and so we wanted to make sure that the wording was correct based on our knowledge, that it was just the portion of Beacon Road excluding the portion of Yale.
Correct.
So yes, I just want to make sure the resolution properly states that. Commissioner Jordan.
Just for the record now with the new exhibit, can you re-explain the basis for the department's recommendation?
Yeah, absolutely, Commissioner. So the basis for the recommendation is really trying to maintain north-south right-of-ways in this community. It's the belief of our team that we're going to need those north-south right-of-ways for better circulation in the future. The east-west right-of-ways, we had a more significant number, more closely spaced, and we didn't feel we would need this one. Wedgewood at some point in the future might be utilized for an east-west roadway, and it currently does have a short piece that is in place, but we felt we had plenty of access just by maintaining the Yale right-of-way north-south and did not need the Beacon Avenue right-of-way east-west.
So Wedgewood remains available if needed in the future.
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any other questions other than ensuring that our resolution, Commissioner French, can you grab 6A? It's still, the resolution still states and a portion of Yale Road, so I think we may need to delay this one more week.
I think in the details of the resolution, Commissioner, for advertising purposes, we have to keep both Yale and Beacon in the language. But further down in the resolution, it does say that we're recommending vacating one and not the other pretty clearly.
Okay,
And the actual resolution, the therefore at the end, does clearly state our objective. But we
My-
couldn't eliminate Yale because it's in the advertisements, if that makes sense. That was our direction from legal.
okay. I just, yes. No, it does state it down below, yes, but what I get concerned about is a lot of times people, as they're looking at resolutions, are looking at the title of the resolution, and I think the title, again, isn't reflective of what the true resolution is. So I don't know what legal has to say about that.
We looked at this and for notice purposes, we kept the title the same, but the content of the resolution reflects the engineer's recommendation, so I think it's good to move forward.
Okay. So if we were to change the resolution title, what would we have to do?
Make a motion? to change the title. Motion to change resolution title and remove portion of Yale Street. So it only says portions of Beacon Avenue.
Okay. And I only say that just because there's a lot of citizens search resolutions. They search by keywords, all of that. And I just feel like this is not, if we have Yale in the title, it looks like we might be doing something with Yale and we're excluding Yale from it. And I don't know. So maybe I'm the only one who has the hang up with it. So,
You can make a motion.
okay. Commissioner French.
So just to stir the stew a little bit, if we change the title on the motion, do we have to then re-advertise?
That's why we didn't change the title of the motion and why we think moving forward with the current resolution is better.
Okay?
No, we're not taking questions from the audience at this time. Sorry. Today is only for decision only. We took the public. No, so, wait, sir, I'm sorry, we're not discussing it at this point with the public. It's just. Yes, and you're welcome to listen to our discussion. So, okay, so you're saying keep the title as it is and go with the resolution. Mr. Simmons.
A suggestion, you could ask the clerk to just add in the description a little bit more narrative to the end so that when someone searches for the resolution only, they can see that the action was only for the portions of Beacon Avenue.
Okay.
So the resolution, the title of the resolution stays whole, but they can add a little, she can add a little descriptor to the end.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not, can we do that without a motion? So it would just be a little parenthesis for clarification.
Yeah,
purposes.
I'm only suggesting not to amend the title in the resolution directory, just add a descriptor in the end of it, which doesn't reflect an action, because the action's taken within the resolution
Okay.
itself.
Okay. So, thank you. Any questions for Matt? Or Matt? Okay, I will look to my fellow commissioners.
Just because I don't want to get cross with all this legal talk, could I ask one of the Matts here to state an appropriate motion for this item to adopt it, to adopt the resolution?
Move to approve item 6A, considering the vacation of Beacon Avenue and a portion of Yale Street, County Engineers Road, file number 2316, for the Spokane County Public Works Department as written in the resolution, which excludes the portion of Yale.
Okay, I will make a motion to that effect.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for item number 6A as just presented by staff and read by our legal counsel, Matt Folsom. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Third option, I'm recusing myself because I wasn't here when you discussed the issue, and so I'm recusing myself from the vote.
Very good. So Commissioner French will recuse himself, so it passes 4-0 with one recusal. Okay, that will then take us to item number 6B on today's agenda, and Matt Zarakor will do another presentation.
Thank you again, Commissioner, and I will do a better job on naming my resolutions in the future so they more closely match our recommendation and can be
Thank you.
advertised appropriately.
Thank
The
you.
first time. So here today to talk to you about comprehensive plan and our stormwater fees. And this first slide, really just want to, I know the board's very familiar with stormwater and its definition, but for those that might be watching, when we're talking stormwater, we're talking really about two things. We're concerned about flooding and mitigating any flooding potential, and we're also talking about water quality and keeping our stormwater runoff clean. So a couple of different things we do. We have maintenance programs that help in that effort, and we also have different goals that we try and achieve in keeping water quality clean. I'm sure many of your people are familiar with the stormwater swales, the grassy swales along the sides of the road that are the main way that we do that. Next slide, please. So a little bit of background. The stormwater utility was established in 1992. The service area for that was set at that time, and it hasn't been updated since. The fees were first set in 1993. They were updated in 2007 to $1.75, and then updated once more last year to $2.16, really in anticipation of the discussion we're having today. There was already a consultant in place reviewing those fees. And as mentioned, the goals of the utility are really to prevent flooding and mitigate it, and also to improve water quality and meet a lot of our programmatic requirements. Next slide. And what drove the need? Really the need was driven by a couple of different items. One, our current service area was very restrictive in the way the program was originally set up. It only allowed us to spend stormwater utility fees inside the service area, which really was the urban area. And also, the fees haven't kept up. You know, everybody is familiar with the inflation and the cost of construction going up. It's really no different in the stormwater world. The things we're paying for have gone up dramatically in the last number of years. Next slide. So the first item is our stormwater boundary. On the slide above, you can see on the left-hand side the current boundary in purple, and that's the stormwater service area. It's essentially the urban area outside the incorporated cities. The proposed boundary on the right is the entire unincorporated Spokane County area. And the reason for wanting to expand the area is twofold. One, you can see in terms of just infrastructure and culverts, there's only 3,000 out of 24,000 culverts that are inside the current service area. And additionally, only 700 out of our 1,900 miles of road exist, and well, 700 out of our 2,400 miles of road. So we have a lot of roadway and a lot of culverts that are outside the current service area, and we are unable to spend stormwater fees on that. Next slide. So after talking with our consultant and with the board, this is our recommended rate structure. These are the fees we would be recommending to the board for fiscal years 26 through 29. We're recommending stepping the increase in over time. That gives people a time to adjust to it. It also gives us time to grow our programs and adjust to the new programs that we're anticipating coming out of this. Next slide. Here's just a comparison of the fees charged by various jurisdictions in Eastern Washington. On the far left, you can see in red, that's our current fee structure. It's a little over $2. You can see the proposed one in green at $4. And the blue ones are our immediate neighbors, City of Spokane and City of Spokane Valley. Inside of this, we are proposing the increases over the next few years. That's similar to the other jurisdictions who are also anticipating doing annual increases over the next few years, and many of those are already published. Next slide. What can they be used for? So they can be used for a lot of things. Currently, we're using them for permit requirements, but also cleaning out structures, cleaning out culverts, dry wells, catch basins, and pipes inside the stormwater service area. That's where we have more of the piping type systems, but also things like swales and ponds. The additional expansion of it will allow us to do more street sweeping than we've currently been doing. We aren't able to do as much as we'd like. It's a fairly expensive endeavor, as you might imagine, but has a big impact on water quality. By sweeping it, you're getting it off the roadways ahead of it even getting to the structures or being infiltrated into the ground. It's a very proactive source control type option. Also, we'd be proposing a short span bridge repair and replacement program, something that to date has been currently unfunded. The federal grants that are available are not eligible for that category of bridge, anything under 20 feet. We also would be doing a culvert maintenance and replacement program. As mentioned before, we have a lot of culverts, and we're developing an inventory right now, and we look forward to having a program where we could take care of those and have a proactive approach to replacing them when they're needed. Also, a ditching and shouldering program. I think the board's had a lot of phone calls from people where the ditches weren't adequate and it damaged the roadway. and infrastructure projects to address flooding and treatment. Those are more spot projects, are more localized to existing problems and addressing them. Next slide. So what will the citizens be able to see? What will they get for their money? Number of things. One, we had a very recent event I think everybody's familiar with, where we had a significant rainstorm on snow on frozen ground and had a lot of runoff as a result, and it caused a lot of damage to the road system. That number's over $1 million. In addition, the lack of drainage and the frost heave that we saw when the frost came out of the ground from the cold spell preceding that was also beyond $1 million. So just those two things, and predominantly those were due to drainage issues, were $2 million. That was a significant hit to the road fund. And you can see on the left, that's an example of what happens when we don't have good ditches established. On the right, when we have good ditching in place, it gets the water where it needs to be and protects the roadway. Next slide. And again, we'll be able to expand our sweeping program. Right now, it's fairly focused, and it's a lot of focusing on areas that have a lot of pine trees and pine needles that need removed. We'll be able to do a better job at our sweeping, and some of that's required of us anyway from our permit. And on the right, you can see examples of culverts that need some help. They oftentimes get damaged by cars leaving roadways and different activities. And over time, they sediment in, and they need to be cleaned. And this program will help support that effort. And obviously, when the culverts are clean and open, they do a better job at conveying the water and making sure we don't have the flooding and road overtopping that can occur otherwise. Next slide. And again, as stated before, a lot of the condition of the road is driven by how well we're doing with the drainage. This year, we saw some pretty significant examples of what happens when we don't have a good ditching program and don't keep the culverts clean. So we're hopeful that this will pass and that we can do a better job with that, and that'll keep the roads in better condition. You can see on the right, the road's in good shape. That's everybody's best interest. The public expects that of us, and we certainly all do the best we can to accommodate that. Next slide. So again, in summary, our request to the board would be to expand the stormwater service area to the entire unincorporated county. The fees, as we demonstrated, are reasonable compared to neighboring jurisdictions in eastern Washington. And it's a big win-win for the county in terms of it also offsets some of our current maintenance expenses and allows us to put those dollars back into preservation. And it's kind of a twofold win for the county and the roads. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Zarecor? Commissioner Jordan?
You did a rate study, correct?
Correct.
Can you talk about what the options were presented through that study, and then what this recommendation reflects?
Yeah, there were, as you might imagine, there was a lot of information in the rate study, and we're trying to gloss over it, but it does sometimes confuse it. The options presented were really, I'm going to say 4 options. 1, keep your existing rate structure and don't do anything. Expanding and providing a higher level of service inside the current service area. And then there was one option, which is very close to what we're proposing, which is expand your service area to the entire county so you can address the rural needs and put a rate structure in regarding that. And there was another one that had much higher rates associated with it. And it felt like a very large step. This is kind of the middle ground, I guess, in my mind. It gets us to where we need to geographically in terms of addressing the entire county's needs, but it's not quite so extravagant in terms of what we're asking of people.
So with regard to the options that contemplate expanding to cover the rural needs, this is the lower impact option on taxpayers. Is that true?
Correct, yeah. And our implementation is lower too. We picked the lower portion of their recommendation, and then we also stepped it in slower than the actual consultant recommended, just to give people more time. And we do have the advantage that the stormwater utility has a fund balance that can pay for some of that initial programming and build the program.
Commissioner Kearns?
And Matt, I remember on one of the previous presentations you spoke to that there are some areas that are deemed kind of like high risk for flooding and all. So some folks will actually see a reduction in the overall cost. Can you speak to what those sort of high-risk areas are and how they will see the adjustment and the assessment.
You bet, happy to do that. Currently, we have 3 high-risk drainage areas, is what they're called, and that would be 5 Mile, the West Plains, and the South Hill. And those areas are geographically more challenging in terms of stormwater. They don't infiltrate well. So originally, the previous plan had a bunch of projects that were being performed in those specific areas, and as a result, the rate structure coming out of the previous rate study recommended different rates. And so those rates were higher than what we're proposing for the initial rate. By the time it gets stepped up in 2029, they're higher than those rates are, but initially they'll see a reduced cost.
Commissioner French.
So when you originally made this presentation, I gulped because the cost increase and you know, the expansion of the program is pretty broad. But in thinking about it and relating what is happening and what you're proposing here to what I see happening in other parts of the state, this is probably not that inconsistent. The other challenge that we have in the road fund is that part of the revenue that we get is based on a gas tax. And it's no secret that cars today have got more gas efficiency than they had before. There is still a transition going on to electric vehicles, and we don't get any gas money in the road fund as a result of that. And then costs continue to escalate, but the road fund is capped at a 1% escalation. So it's not difficult to see that expenses are going to outpace revenues. And the consequence of that is that when you have a culvert to fail, the road closes. When you have ditching, like you've shown here, the ability to transport across that road becomes diminished, if not impossible. So is the increased cost associated with the stormwater utility reasonable, considering the risk of losing our roads? And again, I'll reiterate, our roads are our largest single asset that the county owns, and we do have the largest road system in the state. And so you're talking about a pretty significant impact to not only local users of that road, but also taxpayers across the county. So as I struggled with, geez, is this a reasonable cost offset against the alternative? This is probably pretty reasonable. So I just wanted to thank you for the work that you did and trying to put this together. I know the county is very, very efficient at maintaining our roads, but you can only go so far with resources that are limited. And so I commend you for your work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Walter.
Thank you. I know you guys have put a lot of time and effort into looking at the problems and trying to come up with solutions. And I remember when you first presented to us, it was right after that big storm event that you were describing. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you mentioned this today, but I think there was a dollar amount that you thought it would take out of the road fund to fix the problems. Can you reiterate what that dollar amount was? Because you were having to take that from the road fund due to not having enough stormwater funding to go out and fix roads and dig the culverts, et cetera.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Waldruff. Yeah, that number I just asked our pavement manager that does the programming for us on our roads, and that number currently is conservatively at $2 million. So that came, if we aren't able to fill that hole by expanding the service area, that will come directly out of preservation. And really the net effect would be This year, we would not be doing any overlay projects, and that's about half of our preservation work. We would have to cut that program entirely just to repair roads and get the road system band-aided back together from the damage.
So that just really puts it into real numbers.
Yeah, it essentially is half of our preservation number. We're currently only able to program 4 million for preservation, and that would be half of that.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner French.
Yeah, listening to Commissioner Waldron, it reminded me, in King County, they made a couple decisions early on when it came to the Growth Management Act, and they encouraged all of their small little communities to annex or incorporate and or annex as much land as they wanted to. And it certainly removed a lot of responsibility for the county, but what it did is it devastated the road fund. And they did not have enough money to maintain their roads, and they are now actively allowing paved roads to go back to dirt because they don't have enough money to maintain them. And I know that because of our climate, one of the challenges that we have, and especially in my district, but I know it's in everybody's district, is washboarding. And if we can't get out on the road and regrade it to where you can get a smooth surface, you're gonna shake the teeth out of your mouth trying to drive that road. We need to be able to invest and keep our roads in good condition and stuff. So this is just one part of that formula to try and make sure that we get good roads to drive on. So thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kearns.
And I just wanted to piggyback on Commissioner Waldron's comments. So in one of the, I mean, if I have this correct, based on previous presentations on this, part of one of the issues on why you're having to pull from the road fund is because if there's a washout of a road or something like that, if it's not in that stormwater service area, you can't spend stormwater dollars on it. That's why you're having to pull from from the road fund. So, but if all of unincorporated county is in the stormwater area, then those stormwater dollars can be spent in any of those areas.
Yeah, that's correct.
Any further discussion? Okay. This is thank you, Matt. This is a public hearing items, so I will open the public hearing for item number 6B as presented. I do have one person who's wishing to speak, John Bjork. John, when you come up to the microphone, you'll have 3 minutes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
3 minutes is not enough. John Bjork, my address is 10717 East Moffett Road. We're generally in the Peone Prairie area, East Mead, if you will. We've been there for about 25 years now, and the only real problems we have with drainage are on our private property, and we're covering those costs. As far as county maintenance and costs go, there was a culvert put in Peone Road about a half mile west of our property. It was done about 6 or 8 months ago. And I didn't even know there was a drainage problem there because there's never been any flooding there. But we don't see, and I'm an engineer, I don't see any need for stormwater costs repair in our area. The problems we're looking at, and let me say that my wife and I are well into our retirement age, as you can tell. And we want to stay in our home as long as we can physically and financially be able to do that, okay? Unfortunately, the county and the state are making that more difficult. We are now paying, and there's some discussion and presentation about road maintenance and so on, we're already paying about $465 property tax for road maintenance. So Moffett Road, there's not much maintenance cost there except for occasional many years in between paving for Moffett Road. On property, when we built our homes, we bought 20 acres and we split it in half because you have to have 10 acres now to build on the property. My daughter and her family took the east 10 acres, and we kept the west 10 acres. We put in a culvert, it's elliptical shaped, about 4.5 by 6 feet, 4.5 high, 6 feet wide, and about 14 feet long, and it was expensive, very expensive. Part of our fees for property taxes right now are for aquifer. And so we're paying $30 a year for the benefit of other areas of the county. We're in the Little Spokane drainage area, and I don't think any of that $30 is allocated to the Little Spokane River area. Am I correct on that?
I'm not sure the answer to that, so.
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure that's the case. With this new fee for stormwater with us, $48 a year to begin with, and then adding $12 a year starting in 2026, gets us up to $84 a year for stormwater maintenance costs. And we have no benefit from that money at all. We are looking at our septic tank being pumped for a cost of about $700 coming up very soon. And also the state is talking about increasing the gas tax and the property tax limit from 1% to 3%. So I just
Thank you.
request that you reject this fee for those areas in unincorporated parts of the county.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions? Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to testify on item number 6B on today's agenda that was just presented? Third call for anyone wishing to testify on item 6B. And then I will close the public hearing and look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve item 6B in the matter of amending Spokane County Code Chapter 9.70 related to the service area and rate structure for the stormwater management service for Spokane County Public Works Department.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously. That will then take us to item number 6C on today's agenda. And it looks like we've got Deb Geiger, who's going to be presenting.
It's on. Good afternoon. I'm here in front of you today to ask for approval on a contract for disposal at the Adams County landfill from our county transfer stations. For purposes of this public hearing, real quick, I wanted to just cover a brief summary of our disposal practices. Over a very long history, we have a partnership with City Spokane and the Waste to Energy Facility. The Waste to Energy Facility has and remains our main disposal site. Because of this being our main disposal site, there are a lot of people who aren't aware that we do have to landfill a good portion of our garbage. And this occurs when the city has no available room at the Waste to Energy. They process what they can, but sometimes there's either too much garbage or they're down for maintenance, and that requires us to landfill garbage. And so I wanted to make sure I have that on record. It's common practice. Currently, the city holds that contract, and for operational and administrative efficiencies, instead of going through the city to dispose our garbage, we are entering into our own contract with your approval. As I already spoke about the efficiencies, but there's also some cost savings within this draft contract, or not draft, we have a final negotiated contract with Waste Management Adams County. We were able to actually get a better price, so we get to save a couple dollars a ton. We have better control over our operations, successfully negotiated our contract with Waste Management, and I'll go over that briefly in a moment, but that signed contract is before you today. And then we've also, we have agreement from legal with the contract, as well as our going forward with Adams County without doing the RFP because of a reasonable and prudent justification, which I'll go over in a sec. Purchasing's also on board, and risk management, so everything's been agreed and approved on. And next, thank you. Here's our main reason of going straight with Waste Management's Adams County. Available landfills to us in the region. The next closest one is about an additional 144 miles away. And so when you figure in transport, it's not practical for a transport company to give us a 40 to 50% discount on their rates. And so Adams County is our closest option. Next slide. Our contract terms with Waste Management, we've got a price of $31.50 per ton. We also have a reasonable price at Graham Road Landfill where we can, when we are not sending garbage to Adams County and we have non-burnable garbage that can't go to the waste energy facility, we can use the Graham Road Landfill. The contract complies with all regulations. Waste Management's responsible for post-closure costs. And the contract term is 10-year with 5-year extensions. It could be, depending on our garbage, 18 to 28 million contract over 10 years. And then annual price adjustments are simply based on CPI. I think that's basically it. Are there any questions? Do I have anything else on the slides, Ron?
Commissioner Waldron?
Yes.
Hi, Deb, thank you. I was just wondering, you said that there were you talked about the reasons why the county would go on its own with a contract, still working with the city, with the waste energy facility, but having our own alternative when we need it. You said there might be some cost savings. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yes, other than we've negotiated a better price.
Maybe just, expand upon that a little bit.
The contract before you today is for disposal only. The city currently holds a disposal transport contract where everything's lumped together on a per ton basis. And what we've done, we have a transport contract currently to move our other materials, and we have negotiated a price with that transport company for that change order on our contract. It is a per haul instead of a per ton basis. And so what we're able to do with that is have control over how we pack our containers, and our cost per ton basically can go down the better we pack them. In addition, some of the benefits of going with our own transport company, we know what containers, we have an actual better harmony of containers, a consistency. We don't have to change containers when we want to go to the landfill. On this current contract, we have specific containers we have to use for the landfill. We can't fill them as full, and they're very hard on our equipment, particularly our brand new compactor at the Valley. And so container options are just a much more efficient and better cost savings for us.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, thank you. This is a public hearing item, so I will open up the testimony for hearing item 6C as just presented, if anyone would like to testify.
Franklin. Hi, I'm Aiden Franklin. I live in the Latah Valley neighborhood in the Spokane city limits. So I hear on here the city still holds the primary contract for garbage for the county. And you guys were talking about when the waste energy plant and everything goes down. How often does that occur? And is this like a rarely occurring, or does this occur often where we have to constantly use this contract to haul our garbage to Adams County?
I think it's actually a good question. but this is just for public comment right now, so.
Sorry.
That's okay. No, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to testify on today's item number 6C? So no one else online? No one else in the audience? Third and final call? Okay, then I will close the public testimony. Any further discussion from the commissioners?
Well, I think Ms. Geiger has answer to the question that was
Yes.
asked. I
Yeah.
knew you did.
I was going to make sure that, yes, if you'd like to come up. Because I think that it is a good question. So I think,
She was sitting there going, I know this, call on me.
Oh, hi. Yes, we actually do this very often, just so you know. It's based on a seasonal need at the waste energy facility. So typically December, January, February, all of our garbage stays at waste to energy because we have low volumes then. But once we hit spring, summer, and fall, we have a lot of garbage at our two transfer stations, and we take what the waste to energy facility wants from us, and the rest we take. So we typically divert about 50% of our garbage from our transfer stations to a landfill on an annual basis. Yeah. Okay.
thank you. Yes. Yeah, Deb, you may want to stay. If you want to stay up, because then we can still ask further questions of you.
Okay.
So just to clarify, under the current practice, about 50% of the county garbage goes to the waste to energy, about half goes to landfill, but previously, it was all handled by the city, correct?
Correct.
And so what this is really doing is just saying, we as the county are going to have a direct contract with the landfill rather than have that for the excess that's not taken by the city, rather than have them basically be a middleman. Is that a fair description?
That's absolutely correct.
Okay.
It's basically, we're just changing hands on the contract, and it's business as usual. We aren't doing anything different other than that.
Other than getting a better price.
Yes.
Is there any other questions for Deb? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. So now that we have all of our additional questions answered, I will look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve public hearing item number 6C in the matter of authorizing an agreement with Adams County Regional Landfill for landfill services for Spokane County Public Works Solid Waste Division, project number 25-574.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. That's the end of our printed agenda. I do know we have a couple executive sessions. Is there anything else, Mr. Simmons or Mr. Commissioner Jordan?
Real quick, Madam Chair, is Pat here? We talked there he is. We talked this morning about the proclamation for Therapeutic Court Month. I just wanted the board to know I had some back and forth with Martha Liu just about when to do that. April 20, we could do it as early as next week because it's proclaiming May as Therapeutic Court Month, but there's possibly 2 proclamations next week. April 29th, there's already 3, and then we have the following week for DC fly-in, and then there's May 13th, and then we're halfway into May. So I just wanted to ask the question, when is the best time? Is there a preference on that?
I would say we can add it to next week's agenda.
I can try to get things together.
Sure, I just wanted to bring to the board's attention, we have 2 competing resolutions to name May, the Therapeutic Courts and then Mental Health Month. So we might want to adjust for June, or we could just name the same month twice. It really
I think
depends.
my understanding is that is the month. It's a national.
I see.
That-
Okay.
So, but which actually makes sense as to why the 2 would be in the same month.
So if there's
So-
no conflict, we'll proceed. I'll just want,
So why don't we do both of those on the same agenda? Maybe we need to tweak which one we have next week and which we do the following week.
Okay. And I just want to let the board know too, if you've been working with Martha Lou on any of the proclamations, just please see me directly. She'll be out for a little bit handling a family matter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, Mr. Simmons, Mr. Folsom?
No other miscellaneous other than our executive sessions.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. 2 executive session items, both pending in potential litigation under RCW 4230-110. The first one I anticipate taking 10 minutes with the board, myself, Matt Folsom, Scott Simmons, Jeff McMorris, Kyle Tuig, Jasper Coulter, and Matt Zarakor. The second, also pending in potential litigation under RCW 4230-110, approximately 15 minutes, the board, myself, Matt Folsom, Scott Simmons, Jeff McMorris, Kyle Tuig, Jasper Coulter, and Pat Bell. Don't go too far, Pat. And a third executive session item, under the same statute, 4230-110, pending and potential litigation, 15 minutes, and the same 5.
Okay, so we are anticipating a total of 45 minutes for 3 executive sessions. At the end of those, no decisions are expected to be made, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. So since no decisions are expected to be made at the end of those executive sessions, we will be adjourning for the day at that point in time. So thank you all very much for being here, and we will go into executive session for 45 minutes. Thank you.